So do you guys have any thoughts here on the data side of things itself?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen so many different configurations of data, from a company that's kind of starting out, whether it be, one person stores everything in their OneDrive folder and then they're sharing that out separately, or everyone has files on their local machines and they're trading files that maybe might be slightly modified from one machine to the other. So, it really, there's so many different ways that data could be set up that kind of setting up that structure initially is kind of like a lifesaver because it's going to help long term with permissioning and security and just organizationally. Then I guess the other portion of that is once you kind of have the structure and permissioning down, then what about backups? So backups are one of those things you don't think about till something's missing, and now you really need a backup of that file or something recovered. So starting out strong on that backup and recovery plan is also really helpful, as well as where it's being stored. So in today's time, we're all working kind of either in some sort of hybrid setup. That really offsite backup is the key there. So you have your data not in the same geography as either your employees or your systems themselves. And that further secures that data. So now you have the recovery and you have the redundancy of if something does happen kind of locally, your backups are secured elsewhere.
Yeah, because backups can kind of go into like a lot of different things too. Of everyone wants doesn't think about backups until they need it because of a crypto attack, let's see, or like maybe a drive failure happens.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of having them in place for sure. It's an upfront cost, but then it's peace of mind and kind of knowing as long as you do like test restores that hey, you're ready to go ahead and restore data if in the event one of these things are happening, because cyber attacks are becoming more and more popular, and they're finding new ways to get in day by day too.
Yeah, and you want your data storage and the backups, all those solutions to be easily scalable because the data size just grows and grows, and you're moving that data around, right, to one or two backup places, maybe pulling it to and from a user, and so all these systems have to support that large amount of data growth. And there are some situations where one would want to purge their data if it's not necessary anymore.
Yeah.
That is a typical recommendation that not a lot of people necessarily follow in the business world, but more and more are actually doing that, actually setting a time limit, defining how long do I need to keep such and such type of data and then getting rid of it. And there are good reasons why one might want to do that.
Yeah.
And it's all moving around. Right.
Yeah. And to Alan's point, as that data grows and it starts to get larger, one thing people forget about because, you're not really using your backups or recovering, constantly. And you don't realize that your backups grow and it's not really a flick of the switch where all that data can be recovered immediately. So the other thing to think about there is kind of recovery time. So if you do start getting larger amounts of data, you're not going to be able to download and get that full data set back up and running for your employees, immediately. It might take 24, 48 hours. You might need additional equipment to recover to. Sure, you'll be able to get a few files. If there's only a few critical files, you'll be able to pull them from that kind of, hosted backup. But you do want to think about recovery time as well and getting ready for that. If we did have an issue, how fast could we get everything restored?